different octaves. So you know how you when you sit down in front of a piano and you have C note and C note and C note and C note. It's a different timbre, it's a different octave, but it's the same note. At 250, 500, and 1,000, it's the same note. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just repeated. That's why I cut those three, because it's that sound repeated up the scale. So I want to get that out of there. It cleans it up. It makes it not sound like that. Okay? Well, then whenever I think about the relationship of instruments and these vocals, okay, the way that I visualize EQs for the whole thing is I think of a 32-lane interstate. Like on the road out here you get on. On that interstate, if you put a piano on that interstate, it's going to take up all those lanes, right? Because that piano is real low and real high. It's going to take up all those lanes. The minute that I have a singer merge onto that interstate with that piano, that singer is going to occupy some of the same lanes as that piano. That's where you have a fight, right? And you don't have discernment. So those lanes of travel that the main part of our body, our vocal resonance is going to be at, is just to the right of center a little bit, around 900. So if I take that instrument, that piano, and I take out 900 hertz, and then some to the right and some to the left of that, so it'd be like 900 to 1,000 and 900 and 800, and I just take those frequencies out. What I've done is I've gotten that piano out of those lanes of travel with the vocal. Does that make sense? Okay, so now you have a bass player just got on the interstate with that piano. They don't need to occupy the same lanes of travel, right? So now you got to go to that piano and you got to, it's going to be around 100 hertz, 200 hertz, and you take that out of the piano. So now you've created the space for that bass to be. Well now, okay, I've got the piano EQ. Don't sound great by itself, but you have a band in place. You want it to sound great with the band, not by itself. You've always got to be cognizant of, we're having a moment here where it's just the piano playing, and you want to make it sound better. So you have to come up with some kind of process where you can quickly make that piano sound better and give those EQs back to it, and then take it away when all the band comes in. That's easy, and I can walk that through with you, but understanding that these EQ cuts are done in a way to make it sound good as a band, not independently. Now you get to the guitar, same,
That's part of it.
the same principle for pianos, guitars, keyboards, any instrument that shares the same frequency space with the vocalist, you do those same EQ frequency cuts, the same ones.
So we actually take stuff away from it then?
Yes, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
We're not happy about that, Jeff, we're not happy.
So, and those frequency cuts for a piano or a guitar or anything like that is around 900. It's just always around 900. Then I'll go down to 250 again. Remember how I told you how it makes a vocal sound like this? An instrument is a voice as well. Some people, they're like, that's a guitar. I've got to think of it differently. No, it's a voice. Piano has a voice. You've heard people, a piano tuner come in and re-voice the piano because that piano has a voice, and it's no different than ours. That piano is going to sound like this unless you do something to it. So I'll take 250 out of it, then I go to 900 and take it out of it, and it
Sounds like
makes
it's
it
always,
clean.
sounds like it's always 900. You're always saying 900 on everything.
900 on all the instruments.
Okay, 900 on the
1,000.
instruments.
On the instruments.
1,000 for the voice.
1,000 for the vocals.
1,000 and up for the vocals, or are you
Just
starting at
1,000.
1,000?
Just 1,000.
Right at 1,000?
That's exactly 1,000.
Okay.
And that EQ cut for the vocals at 1,000 is really tight. The EQ cut for instruments is wider and broader. And whenever I go to turn a fader up, I always have to be cognizant of this too. I've got the EQs good and it's all working good together. I need more Kevin's acoustic.
Always.
So I go to turn it up. I have to realize when I grab that fader and turn it up, it's grabbing this whole bank of EQs and turning them all up, right? So this cut that you did over here on that guitar that's working really great, I've brought that back up into play again. because when I grab that fader, it's taking all of these EQs and bringing them up. And that's a volume increase globally across
Across the
all
board.
those. So I have to think, do I really need to turn all of these EQs up evenly? Sometimes like, okay, I don't need to turn them up. Maybe I need more clarity as guitar. So that's where I hit the EQ, and I may go to like 2,000 or 3,000 hertz and turn that guitar up right there. And it just pushes out in front of the mix, but I'm still clean and clear in the space that I've created for the vocals. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And
For
so-
setting up, but does it make sense for every Sunday morning to come into the board, load a scene, and then start dialing in everything? If you've got it pretty much set as a scene, how much tweaking
the
do we need to
scene
do?
is your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to remember there's always a potential that you have to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if the guitar player brings a different guitar? Sounds different. What if when you set this thing up, the guitar player hadn't changed his strings in 4 years? Next weekend he puts new strings on it. That's going to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or a singer comes in, you got the singer saved in here, they're saved in the library, you load them in, and they come in this week and they're not confident of the songs they're singing, a little bit unsure, and they sing real timid. Or they come in and they're super confident about what they're doing and they really let her rip. So there's, unfortunately, all the people that are up here that are on this platform that are singing and playing, they're not a piece of machinery. It's not exact. And there's so many variables going into it that makes you be like, you have to be aware that there may need to be some tweaking done, even from practice to actual worship.
Mm-hmm.
If people comes in, they're a little sick, they're not going to sing out as hard. But when they hit actual worship, they're going to give you full throttle.
Well, the
Right.
thing is, and then you have people in here compared to what.
That's right. You have people in here, and the word that I always come back to is balance. This whole thing, this whole piece, is all about relationships between instruments to singers and what the role they play and what they're doing. So, for me, and if you're thinking about just regular contemporary worship music as you hear it on K-Love or something,
Mm-hmm.
the relationship of all of this stuff is you have the lead vocal and the drums. They're always almost right here together. You can go and get in your car and turn on K11 and listen to it, and that lead vocal and drums are going to be right here. All the harmony vocals are going to be here. And I have that question all the time. I'll go to a church and they'll be like, we want our congregation to sing, but they are not singing. And I'm like, do you love big, full, lush harmony vocals like Gaither Southern Gospel? Yes, that's what we do. And I'm like, that's why they're not singing. Because not everybody's a harmony singer. Nobody knows what to follow. And if you have, and honestly, harmony lines, especially the baritone line, that's a weird dude.
Mm-hmm.
It don't sound like it ain't no part of nothing. But in context with all the rest of the singers, it's perfect. So that's why you have to always present that lead vocalist. And if during practice you have the lead vocalist here, and the drums are here, and your harmonies are here, well, then you get to worship, and those harmony singers are like, I'm gonna let her rip tater chip, and all of a sudden they've revved up to here. You have to rebalance that. Or maybe you go from song 1, and the lead singer's here and getting strong, and you get to song 2, and it's a song they're not familiar with, or it's real low, it's the bottom of the register. You have to rebalance again, but you always have to understand the formula. Vocals, drums, lead vocal, drums, harmony vocals, and then the relationship of the bass, it matches the kick drum. So if your whole drum kit is good and balanced, then I can get the volume of the bass up to my kick drum. I know that relationship is correct. If my kick drum is the same volume as my bass, and my drums are matching my lead vocal, I know that that lead vocal, the drums, and the bass are now correct, right? Then I'll take my piano, I'll push it up into the mix to where it's filling out the song and giving a chord structure. And the acoustic guitar in contemporary worship music, sorry Kevin, is always you can't hear it, you feel it.
That's what I try to do, make you
Yeah,
feel it.
yeah, when you feel it. And it's one of those
Oh, we
things
feel
where, it's one of those things where if he quits playing, like, oh, what just happened? But it's not like in your face. Or for the rest of the band drops down, that guitar emerges. That's just in contemporary worship, that's where that acoustic guitar always sits. And it's all about relationship of things. And then I think, okay, you have an electric guitar. What if there's a hook that electric guitar has to do? Like something that comes to my mind that a lot of people know, This Is Amazing Grace. This is amazing. And that hook line is da 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 da. And it happens over and over again throughout that song. Well, if the singer's singing and their volume's here, the drums are here, your harmony singers are here, your bass is with the drums, your piano's sing good, acoustic guitar's sitting here, well, then that electric guitar comes in to play that hook. That electric guitar is now the lead singer in that moment. So here's your lead singer here, but then you have the electric guitar down here. That electric guitar is not in the conversation correctly. So it comes up. All right, but then whenever it comes up, you have to think about rebalance. When the singers come back in, because that electric guitar just still up there just getting with it, pulling back down. So it requires fine-tuned balancing depending on what the band's giving you, but you have to be aware of the song. I always tell people, if you're a sound person, you need to put as much work in learning the songs as a band of musicians. That way you know what to expect. I've had it where, okay, here comes the guitar riff, here it comes. And my hand's on the fader ready for it, and it don't play it. And I'm like, okay. But I was ready. So when that guitar player comes in, I want to make him be part of the conversation correctly. I look at it as a whole conversation piece. And like if we're having this conversation, and every time Kevin talks, he yells and screams, we're going to be like, what's wrong with Kevin?
Fade her down,
You know?
fade her down.
What if every time Mitch, he's
Now
a
you can
quiet,
hear practice.
yeah. Or if Mitch is a quiet talker, every time he talks, people are going to be like, what? Is something wrong? Can somebody turn him up?
Did somebody die?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all about balance and relationship. The first thing you have to know is the correct relationship of all these things going on in here. So to me, it's EQs so that you can, I look at this thing like it's a car. If your car is tuned correctly, it's going to be easier to drive, right? So that's where the EQs come into play. We're going to tune this thing correctly so that I can drive it effectively. Now, when I'm driving it effectively, any professional race car driver, they're going to study that track. They're going to study the other drivers and how they drive and what they are. Same thing here. I want to know my room. I want to know the songs. I want to know the temperament of my musicians and singers, and are they going to woodshed in this part and they're going to let her go on this part? I want to be able to react to that, but do it in a way that is not jarring for the congregation. It's not a distraction. They don't even know this stuff's going on. But I'm making sure that musically everything is correct, and it's done in a way to where the congregation can sing and be involved. And it's talking through it, it seems like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. But if you just have a plan in place on all different areas of it, then you'll be successful. And it's not a lot of EQs you have to remember. It's really not. It's just that basic, for real. And knowing the music, knowing the balance of things, and knowing when to appropriately make these changes at the board so that, I mean, you have to be able to respond if, you know, the last thing you want is a harmony singer above your lead singer. Congregation never going to sing. And if the person's singing harmony, they didn't sing that loud during practice, but now they are, you have to be cognizant of that, aware that they've done that, and know where to pull them back to. And that's kind of a separate thing of the mechanic. Like in NASCAR, you have the mechanic and the driver. Well, we have to be both. So on the board, real quick rundown. When I'm setting up the board and putting things together.
I put you on your own scene here.
Oh, perfect.
So whatever you do here, we're going to save to that scene.
first thing I'm gonna do is that. If I'm coming in cold and I'm starting things up, I'm gonna do that, okay? I've seen people start up hot like that, and somebody starts playing and reach up and unmute, and it knocks the paint off the back wall. You know, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through every channel, and I'm gonna look at basic things, okay? I'm gonna look at where my gain's at. If the gain's turned all the way down, I know that there may be an issue, or if the gain's turned all the way up, I know there may be an issue. I'm gonna look at, see if there's compressors on it. And I can explain what a compressor does, because a compressor can make the whole world go round, or it can destroy everything. I'm gonna look at compressor. I'm gonna look at my EQ. That'll give me an idea of where they may have that. I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, he has a lot of sibilance in this microphone. There's a lot of and that stuff going on. And I'm gonna make sure it's going to the stereo bus. If that's unchecked, you ain't gonna get no sound, because this is what routes it to your main speakers. Those are the things I'm gonna look at. So I'm just gonna bounce through all of these. That gain's a little low, which
It's a wireless. It's a wireless.
It's a wireless.
mic.
So some of these wireless microphones have their own gain structure coming from the transmitter over to the receiver. There's a compressor. That's a pretty mild compressor. There's your EQ. See there? There's my EQ. I see it right there. So I'm just gonna go through all these and just look.
See, they're pretty much copied. If you move.
Pretty much
Oh,
copied.
except that one. That one's.
Doug vocal. Keys. See the cut right there around 900 and one around 250. Your bass. This is the most basic of basic. You have a bass low and a bass high. If you have a really fast, aggressive song where you need that real attack, you push the bass high, higher than the low. It's going to present the mix and be more clear. If you have a real slow song like Holy Spirit or something and you want a real round bass sound, you do that. You don't have to get into EQs. Does all that make sense? Okay, towards guitar, I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, this may be an issue. I'm gonna go to my EQ section, go over here to 900, and I'm just gonna cut it. Remember I was telling you a wider cut rather than a narrow cut? That happens on this Q. See that, that's real wide, it's real narrow. That's not gonna get enough of those frequencies out of those lanes of travel to make room for the vocal. I'm gonna widen it up.
So you're affecting 600 to 1K or a little more.
Yeah.
1500K.
Yeah. Go to her other one. And they are okay, they're not linked.
You know what? This is the wrong one. This doesn't even have Coletta in this one. We can't use this scene. Sorry. I didn't know you did. I didn't know you had them out there, Mitch. Let's go to this scene here. We got Colette and the whole team's in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Colette.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Same-
now I'm gonna save it down here. I'm gonna save it real quick. Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, now we got,
And really, the first thing I look through is I really look at EQs the first, just to see, because EQs are going to make the world go around if they're correct. You know, and if I see anything that's problematic, I may change it. Like I may wind that Q up right there, just to help it from being that. You know, the
see,
keys.
we took her guitar channel out, so she's only got the one, and I got the one. We got the electric.
Okay. And then the other one had two, right?
Yeah, the other one had two,
Okay.
left and right. Yeah.
I can get into why we did that in a minute. There's your left and there's your bass high and low. There's that's EQ'd for
That was
vocal.
EQ'd for her other channel guitar. You had
Yes.
it panned. You had it panned left, right, I think.
So I'm gonna widen that up a little bit. That one. You know, it's
But
just.
I did move her to a different plug. See, that's A10.
Yeah.
That's these were the same plug,
Mm-hmm.
but now this is just open for something else.
Right. Kevin's guitar. That tells me his guitar maybe presents as being a little bright, but I'll leave it alone. Okay, and then your electric.
Which I have today. I brought it just so
Okay.
you.
So all that looks pretty straight. I go through here and look at that.
What is that?
It says instrument.
Oh, that's for the Macintosh thing. The music that we play over the Mac.
that we play.
Oh, okay. There's another wireless mic. And Now one thing,
Now you're in the drums.
there's the drums, there's your kick, there's the rest of your kit. It's the same, see it says A13 down here? That's the same signal.
Yeah, the band, on the drum, we panned left and panned right. So these were panned all the way over to the right or left, and these were panned all the way over to the other side,
Okay.
on the drum module.
And then it sends the kick out, and then the rest of the things here.
But you can see we do have some gain set on those channels too, which I don't know.
And then there's your cymbals.
Ooh, the frequency.
So everything looks pretty straight. Now one thing to be aware of is knowing that there's a difference in channel 7, but where it's source routed from the stage. Like channel 7, this is fader 7, but the source routing is A5. That means it's plugged into the input 5 on the stage. So what I want to be careful of is if you come down here and you have another one here that says A5, you got 2 faders that's controlling this dude. You can be up here going A5, Evelyn, she's off, but she's not off out here. She's still going. That means it's source routed somewhere over here. Does that make sense? You have 2 faders that's in control of that thing, not one. So have to be aware of that. So EQs, make sure the gain isn't all the way off or all the way up when I'm going to do a look through. I will look at my compressor. And whatever that is. Okay, so on a compressor, you have 2 basic functions, and if you can remember these 2 things, you'll be really good. So let's just go to like Kevin's vocal. Okay, he has no compressor on it. He should have a compressor on it. So here turns it on and off. This threshold, see I'm bringing that threshold up and down. And I bring this down. This is controlling how loud it's going to let Kevin be, right? That's what I'm saying. This is either really great or it's the death of something. You can take this thing and go, okay, Kevin, I'm not going to let you be dynamic. If you get excited and there's a moment in the song that needs to be louder for the vocal, this is going to say, nope, I'm capping you. I'm putting the ceiling on your volume.
You're coming for us.
Right? Now, there's other button over here that says gain. Okay, this is the gain. It takes quiet things that he may be singing, turns them up. And it's all processing and done it real time, but done it digitally and internally. So if Kevin's like, sings real soft, this is amazing, it's going to go, no, we're not going to let you be that quiet. It's going to feel like you're singing soft. We're going to bring your volume up so that it's legible. And then whenever you really sing out, we're going to go, nope, we're going to bring you down. If you bring this in too close, it sounds terrible because there's no dynamic in it at all. So to gain up at 7 decibels, that's really good. That's a good place to be in. It's going to take him when he sings quiet or sings low and just help to bring that up, and you don't have to do it manually here. And the threshold, it's going to say, no, when you're singing louder, we're going to control that a little bit, but not where it sounds like we're just taking all the life out of it. I look at that on all the channels. That's aggressive.
Is that the?
That's Pastor Matt.
Yeah.
Okay. But see, if he's not really getting out and just being real aggressive, it's not even going to engage, so it don't really matter. When I go through all these instruments, Colette should have a compressor. All of these should have compressors on them, and they all are pretty much the basic.
That makes sense, because there's times where we don't hear Kevin.
Yeah, and that gain on the will make a
But we'll
big
hear
difference.
other members.
Now on instruments, you don't want real heavy compressors
Well, I mean, when he's singing, you can hear him.
like on keys. You want the gain to be at like 4, and the threshold. Because sometimes a piano, they're going to play soft when they're singing, and when there's a little pause in the singing at the piano, they can play a little harder and feel that little. They're part of the conversation. They're going, okay, I'm going to say something now because it's appropriate, and the compressor say, no, nah, I ain't gonna let you do it.
So would you adjust?
I made sure that the threshold, which turns them down, is very minimal. I make sure the gain, which turns us quiet things up, turn that down a little small. So it gives him this dynamic threshold of volume, a wider space, to where he can come in and out around the music, and he can do it himself. The board's not going, no, we're not gonna let you do any of this stuff. So I go through and just kind of walk through all of that. The bass low, you want this compressor aggressive on both ends. There's that low end. You want it to be consistently even in the whole room. But the high end of the bass, see how it's a little less aggressive? Sometimes when the bass player goes up the neck and plays something, I play a little bit harder, and you want it to have that dynamic range. But all the low end is more compressed, it's more even. So these two channels are doing a little bit more than just here's the high one, here's the low one, mix it, balance it based on the song. It's doing other things with the compressor. Makes sense about the compressor, everybody, what it does? I just go through and look at all this stuff. All this looks pretty standard and normal. The kick drum, that's going to be compressed kind of like the bass. These should be compressed not quite as tight, and your cymbals can be compressed a little bit harder so that when the drummer, they want to be too dynamic volume-wise. They want to play real quiet and then build through a bridge and then they're slamming. Imagine if a singer sang that way. They whispered and they were screaming by the end of a bridge. That'd be too aggressive. Same thing for that drum. So this compressor's it's gained up 10 decibels for the quiet stuff. So we're going to take its quiet cymbal and turn them up. And when he's hitting real hard, it's going to take those hard ones and turn them down. You are squishing it. Okay, that's the compressor. A gate. I didn't see any gates on any. There's a gate over here, but we're not using it. I didn't see the gate light up. A gate. I'll look at a gate. I'll visualize a gate, just like what it says it is, like a gate on your front door. Remember the old school screen doors, and you put a spring on it, and you put that brand new spring on it, and you open it up. You walk behind it, closes and hits you in the rear end. Okay. A gate, let's say you have, you use gates a lot of times on live drums. So I'll use that as an example. So you have your kick drum, your snare drum, your tom. Well, whenever you hit that snare drum, you don't want that snare drum sound to go into your tom microphone, right? Because that tom microphone's EQ and set it for the tom, not the snare. But the snare's bleeding over into it. So I want to go to the tom channel, put a gate on it, and then when I put that gate on it, I want to set how tight that spring is, right? So he has to, when he hits it, I want that gate to immediately open up and then immediately close. So in this gate, you can set, this is how tight the spring is. That's a crazy tight spring. He's got to be beating the dog out of that to make it open. This is a real loose spring. Okay.
Can we all plug in without popping anything?
Yes, everything's down and muted.
I gotta get up there.
And then,
I'm sorry.
So the gate, if I can get that, it's for those real heavy instruments to shut them off because they reverberate a lot.
not really reverberate. You just don't want anything coming through sound-wise until you
Or
want
going
it to
into
come
another
through.
sound.
Yeah, and then you have an attack. That attack is how quickly that gate's going to open, and then hold. That's how long the gate opens up before that spring. It's like setting your piston on your storm door. So like a drum microphone, you want that gate to open quick and close real fast, and you don't let other things pass through. What if you have an instrument and the amp of the instrument has a terrible buzz on it, and it just buzzes like crazy? I think we've all heard that. It's where a gate comes into play. You want a gate with an immediate attack. As soon as that instrument comes over and hits that instrument, the gate opens up. Then you want it to stay open, and you want it to close real slow. So when you quit playing, it sounds like somebody's taking the fader and slowly pulling the fader down to get rid of that buzz. And all that's done with the threshold and the hold and release. That's the gate, but use gates minimally. I've seen people put gates on vocals. Terrible idea. So we don't want all this stuff bleeding through. And the singer comes in and they go to sing, and the gate don't open until they get halfway through that breath, and it goes, and you can hear it. It's terrible because the gate don't open up. You finally, reach the volume to push that gate hard enough to open it up, and you get half of that breath. Does that make sense? So everything is pretty much standardized and set up for us. I think this is a good starting point. The reason I muted everything and turned everything down, I have a system for when they start playing. I'm not going to trust the preloaded stuff or the gain. Okay, I look at gain like this is your water pressure at your water meter coming into your house. If your water pressure is not high enough, it's going to affect everything in your whole house. Right? Too much water pressure, it's going to be too much water pressure for your whole house. This is the same thing. You want optimal gain, optimal pressure that's going to affect everything on this whole board that you do. And to me, when they start playing, I want this gain. I'm gonna select the channel where they're at. Like right now, I see something on Tori's guitar. I'm gonna view this panel right here, and I want to make sure that her gain is bumping the yellow. What that does is that's giving me optimal sound here. That's sending optimal signal to their ear monitors. You may can push enough volume here with a lower gain, but they're not going to be able to hear it up there. I think I have turned all the way up. I just don't hear it. Like, I don't know. I got plenty up here. You know, you want to give optimal gain. So that's number one. So when she starts playing, you know, I don't want to go much further past that. You know, if I'm hitting 3 o'clock,
You get feedback.
you're going to get feedback. Well, feedback, that's a misconception. The feedback is volume load coming out of the speakers and going back into the source. Don't matter about the gain.
Hey, Jeff,
Uh-huh.
teacher, can you bring us all up so we can start playing?
Okay. Let me go through just a real quick sound check just to show gain. So if you want to play for me, Kevin.
And I'd like to see how the drums are doing too.
Okay.
They were having problems last week.
So I want to make sure his gain's hitting that yellow. And that's perfect. I'm going to unmute him. Then I'll bring him
Bring
in.
it at 20. Negative 20 on the volume. Is that master?
Okay.
Negative
Is that where
20.
y'all normally go to?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the master volume. Yeah.
So it's, I noticed one that sings all your favorites are at the top. So you want to rebalance. Because once you go up to the top, you got a positive key, you can't go any further.
I try to go to 0.
Yeah, there's really on these faders, there's no really desire to stay in unity other than over here. Kind of want to be in unity over here. Over here don't. But you want to be over here because you have all kinds of horsepower over here. You don't want to put a governor on your go-kart.
Right, so that's what you're saying. With that up there, then we'll have more room to bump these up.
Yes. You have all the freedom, all the control in the world. Yeah. Okay, Kevin, let me hear Tori's guitar. So that's going to be okay. I'll unmute her. The reason I do this is I know I'm not going to blow anybody. Okay, let's hear the keys. You hear how that sounds a little nasally?
Right.
Okay, so I know I'm going to want to go into that. Let's hear the keyboard real fast.
You have to unmute it.
No, I'm going to watch.
Oh.
We get the gain set first. I need more volume from him.
Like he's really loud in my ears.
He's really not even in my ear.
Can I get more volume from the keyboard?
I've got him cranked on my monitor on my P16 and I can barely hear him.
Yeah, I need some more volume from the keyboard itself.
Okay, turn your volume on the keyboard more volume. Can you turn it more or do you go all the way in?
Ed McCarty, can you turn the volume up on your? I think he's on 8. Okay. Try 8. I think he's on 8.
He's on
He's
7.
on 7 and
Need
okay.
more.
I think we're okay there. That's okay.
That's better.
Yeah.
I got him now.
I have him. And now the drums, Kevin.
Just drums.
Yeah.
It's not
Now
loud.
the drums.
So I'm gonna look. So those games are actually good. It's giving him room to.
It's kind of a light computer.
Yeah.
Because you were making it sound louder.
Oh, was I?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's right.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, that's why I turn everything down and mute it, so that they don't ever have to worry about plugging in. They can just.
The weird thing we have with Tori's, with hers muted, I have to take the master down to 0 or it will pop in the speakers here. And it still pops in their ears.
In their ears,
Okay.
even if it's muted.
Okay.
And the drums will be together, or separate, however you want to do it. But here's the bass.
There's your high. There's your low. Okay. Yeah.
I hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, that took that slap away. It did. What did you do to take the slap? We kept hearing slaps.
Because when he was up there on that, because you were hearing him slapping on the rubber that's up there, you weren't hearing that clear cymbal coming through.
All I did was just make sure my gains were right and turn them up.
That must be it.
Maybe our gains were.
Yeah, that's why it's really important to make sure your gains are good. Because everything, it's like a domino ripple effect. Everything has consequences behind something else.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on with that. I don't like. So what I'm doing is I'm boosting the frequency to find what I don't like. I'm gonna take it out. It's like that snare sounds like that.
Right.
I always compare it to what a vocal sounds like, buddy. Okay, Kevin, we're good.
It's pretty crisp.
We're good. So I know they want to jump in and start singing. I'll turn all this stuff down.
I keep thinking they're going to start a country music song at the beginning of this one. Like Alabama.
And there's Kevin. His games are good. I'm just going to check everybody's games. Tori. There's Ed. He's not singing. Doug. Okay, so they're all pretty good. Kevin's singing lead.
In the blood of the
That one's actually.
Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood
You
of
said
the
Evelyn's lead?
Yes.
Are your garments spotless? Are they white?
So this is good.
Are you washed in the blood?
There's your male and female
All right,
representation.
I'm
of the
gonna make
congregation.
an adjustment because I'm hearing a lot of everybody.
That's what I just took the main volume.
Where's the,
Right?
Lord, yeah.
that's louder than
Yeah,
we
we
usually have
usually
it.
play about 80 dB.
Okay. I'll bring it down a little bit. The church that I'm doing a consulting contract for Awaken Church, and they're a 15,000 church out of San Diego, and they're running 100 decibels.
Yeah, I went
So-
to walk something over here, and they were the same. Just
Yeah, it's and once you get that kind of ingrained, it's like Now here's the thing. Kevin's way different than he was when we last time we played here in Chile. Now I only do this early on. If you do the little circles, you're gonna mess your mind. Now what I'm gonna do is there's no lead vocals. I'm gonna bring the kick up.
Doug together, Doug and Evan are leading.
You kind of need to pick one. If it's that, you can do it's equally as hard. If you're both singing lead, but one of them singing under melody than the other, then the congregation don't know where to sing. So it's simple, but it's pretty hard. Yeah, I'm gonna get this thing practice on. How would you fix that cymbal being so loud when he hits it hard? Pressure. Okay, so it's real quiet.
There's a compressor there. So is it quieted or is it shut out?
It makes it quieter.
Okay.
It's better. So bring it down, then we bring the other step up and practically down so far. To me, she sounds a little bit. She don't sound crisp, so I'm gonna look. Okay. See how her lips are almost touching that microphone? That's it. That's what the problem is. She's not doing wrong. But when you get close to that microphone, it accents. It brings those things like that to be more dominant. So I'm gonna go to there. I had to try and fix that to make that up. She just overwhelmed me kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go fix it. I don't want to do it. It's that whole thing I'm turning them all up. I'm gonna turn it up right here at 2,000. It cleaned her up a little bit. It's subtle. That's all you need is subtle. And I can, when they do it,
They can hear us now.
Yeah, balanced.
Huh?
so,
Jeff, we already see the difference, or we hear the difference.
yeah. And the only thing I have up is 2 vocals and the drums.
And did you take me out completely? 'Cause it sounds really good.
On a hill birthday.
Well, I think what we did, Kevin, is we made sure the gains were correct, which affects the signal coming to you guys. So you're getting optimal signal to your ear monitors. Now that's different than the volume controls of it. So really I'm just going through if you look, I'm going through the process of the vocals and the drums. I'm gonna make sure that they're balanced. Now here's a big thing that is hard to get your head wrapped around. You can play music from the computer in your car. Sounds great.
Yeah.
You can play music from the computer through the board in here. Sounds great.
Right.
So in theory, you should be able to play music from the stage in the room. It sounds great. And then online in your car, sounds great.
And it don't.
And it don't. Okay. There's some post-production things that are going on within the Spotify music that we don't really do here. We can. The board has all the capabilities of doing it. That's one of these set it and leave it. But if you set it up in one
Can
scene.
you give me some volume on this?
Yes. That's your electric?
That sounds perfect.
I'm getting just a little bit of signal, Kevin.
Getting no signal?
Yeah, just enough to tell that it's.
I'm sorry, what?
It's just enough to tell that it's plugged into the right place, but very, very little signal. So if he's going through a pedal board and into a direct box, a lot of times the direct box has it's called a pad. What that pad is it's going to take your decibels and just cut it, sometimes in half. That's what the pad means. It kills. So if he can't figure it out, I'll go up there and look at the direct box and make sure that pad button isn't pushed. But before I do any of that stuff, I come up here to his gain and I turn it off. Because if he's playing and I go up there and hit that pad button and it revs it way up to clipping, it's going to kill them in their ear monitors.
Because that was the whole suggestion.
Okay. See what he's doing?
So we can try to.
No. Okay, so I'm going to walk up there and see.
I see what you're saying, though. If we have it up that high and set down there, is that gonna mess up our ability to keep it at 80
Well, you play with it, because you sound beautiful.
decibels?
Well, the 80 decibels are going to be on the
Yeah, you
speaker.
have it.
We'll bring this down some to be able to.
Yeah.
And then we would have to just bring all these up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Some.
Right.
Yeah. Like maybe we would start at -10 as a baseline instead of 0.
Right.
I've had to learn to
Something like that.
Yeah. See? See, you're the mechanic and the race
I could hear them without headphones.
Huh?
I could hear them without headphones.
You what?
I can hear them without headphones.
Oh. So I think he gets that set, and then those are the only two things.
I've had to learn how to hit things.
If he sets up the gains, and the compressor, we really shouldn't have to mess with that much, should we?
Yeah.
No, we should just be doing these then.
Yeah. I mean, I've messed with.
But there's a switch next to the switch to mic. So switch that switch to stereo that matches. But he's only sitting in mono now. Oh yeah, I got a crazy signal now. Okay. See, here his guitars compete with that bass. It's that right there. Now he's not getting compete with that bass. So,
So you turn, what was that, a compressor? You
no, I just turned that EQ down.